Have you ever watched birds in flight and felt like you were witnessing a dance painted across the sky? Their movements, so fluid, so expressive, seem to tell a story of grace, freedom, and beauty. Imagine capturing that poetry with your camera, not just as a static, sharp image, but as something more ethereal and expressive. That's what Impressionist birds photography is all about. Hi, I am Eva Polak, and in this video we will explore how to capture the elegance of birds in flight using Impressionist techniques. You will learn how to transform ordinary bird photographs into mesmerizing pieces of art that convey movement, mood, and emotion. I will show you how to choose the right birds, anticipate their movements, and master your camera settings. By the end of this video, you will be ready to create your own beautiful Impressionist birds photos. So let's get started. Before we dive into the techniques, let's discuss what makes Impressionist birds photography different. Unlike traditional bird photography, which focuses on capturing sharp details, the goal is to convey the essence of movement and emotion. It's not about clarity, it's about atmosphere. Motion blur is your most powerful tool. By intentionally using slower shutter speeds, you can create that painted effect where the wings blur into soft streaks and the shapes become more suggestive than literal. The idea is to create something expressive and evocative, an image that feels alive. When it comes to Impressionist birds photography, not all birds are created equal. Some birds make this creative process much easier and more rewarding, especially when you are just starting. So, how do you choose the right subjects? I recommend starting with larger, slower flying birds. Why? Because their more predictable flight patterns and broader wingspans create beautiful, flowing lines that are easier to capture with a slower shutter speed. Some great species to begin with include gannets, crows, and gulls. Those birds are not only common, but their movements are bold and dramatic, perfect for creating that painterly effect we are after. And their flight patterns are generally smoother, making it easier to anticipate their movements. Flight patterns play a big role in how your final image will look. Birds gliding on air currents create long, smooth strokes, while those flapping rapidly create a more chaotic, energetic effect. Understanding this distinction will help you decide what kind of mood you want to convey in your images. Location is another important factor. Coastal areas, lakes, and even urban parks are often filled with birds, providing fantastic opportunities for Impressionist photography. Early mornings and late afternoons are especially magical, with softer light and more dramatic shadows, enhancing the painterly feel. Of course, you are not limited to larger birds. As you gain confidence, you can start experimenting with smaller, faster birds to capture even more dynamic scenes. But for now, focus on what's manageable. Practice with the gentle gliders, and you will quickly fall in love with this style. Now that you know which birds to look for, let's move on to the art of anticipation. Reading birds' behavior so you can be ready to capture that perfect moment. Capturing birds in flight with an Impressionist touch requires more than just technical skill. It's about patience, observation, and timing. In other words, it's about anticipation. The more you understand birds' behavior, the better you will predict that perfect moment when their movement transforms into art. One of the most valuable skills you can develop it's reading a bird's body language. Birds often give subtle signs before taking flight. So what should you look for? First, notice how birds often shifts weight right before takeoff. It might lean forward slightly or adjust its feet for balance. Another common cue is when a bird turns into the wind, a natural behavior to make takeoff smoother and more controlled. Sometimes it's as simple as watching for a sudden pause in movement, like a moment of focus before the bird launches itself skyward. And once you begin to recognize those cues, you will find yourself pressing the shutter at just the right time to capture that elegant blur of motion. But anticipation isn't just about reading the bird, it's also about positioning yourself. Choose a spot where the birds fly towards you, or across your frame, rather than away. This creates a more dynamic composition and makes the motion appear more dramatic. And remember, patience is your best friend. Sometimes you will have to wait for minutes or hours to get that perfect shot. But when you do, the results will be worth every moment of waiting. Now let's talk about camera settings. For Impressionist birds photography, you will use slower shutter speeds, anywhere between 1/10 to 1/50 of a second, depending on the light and the effect you want. It's all about experimenting. Shoot in shutter priority or manual mode to control your shutter speed. Use panning technique to follow the bird's motion, which creates a beautiful background blur while keeping the bird's shape somewhat recognizable. Don't be afraid to break the rules. Move your camera intentionally during the shot, or allow the bird to move out of the frame to create unique, abstract compositions. Once you captured your images, the final step is enhancing them through editing. You can adjust colors, contrast, and brightness to amplify the mood and energy of your photo. But remember, the goal is not to overdo it. Keep your edits subtle to preserve that organic, dreamlike quality. Impressionist birds photography is about letting go of precision and embracing creativity. It's about expressing movement, feeling, and mood through your lens. So, grab your camera, find some birds, and let your imagination take flight. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments how your Impressionist birds photography journey goes. Happy shooting!